Good evening, everyone. We are back, Assets and Arbitrage, episode number 201, 201, on the journey to episode 300. We are here today with, I think, an insightful show with a lot of news and some updates about what's going on in the Bitcoin market and as well in the precious metals market. So as we say, stay stacking, stay stacking, stay stacking. Whether it's satoshis, whether it's ounces, we must stack. We must continuously stack. And some of the stories I'm gonna go over that will give great insight to why we should be stacking. Always, why we should be stacking. So I'm sorry I'm a little late today, but it's what 9:10 on the East Coast. So we won't maybe drag this show out unless everybody's up and around. So first thing I will do, update on Mrs. Erin Simon, my beautiful wife. So she is home. I think I said that last episode, but she is home resting. Still on bed rest. So we're gonna have that bed rest for 2 weeks, I think. So that gives her time to recuperate and do things like that. She gets kind of frustrated with bed rest because she thinks she can do things herself, but we got to follow doctor's orders. Okay, so the doctor said 2 weeks. I'm down for 2 weeks. Uh, Other than that, she's been in good spirits and is healing very well. I'm excited. I'm excited. It's going better than I had envisioned. So everything is going well, and she's a fighter. She's a trooper. So it's nothing, nothing that could hold her back. So she's going to bounce back. So that's Aaron. And any other updates? We just quick updates, something that I will just take time to look over. Again, I can't share my screen. They're using my laptop downstairs. He's using it for work, so no big deal. He's got clients this time in the evening, and so he's got that. So I'll just read off the articles. I won't read the whole article. I'll read off the things that are pertinent, and we'll go from there. We're also going to look at some of the gold and silver charts because I find them interesting. But if you've been in the space long enough, it's the same old thing. We don't let days like this bother us, but it's the same old thing. Then I was gonna wait for a few people to get in the room. I know it's Friday night; people might be out, with the family and whatnot. We were just out for a little bit, and the kids are sick. They're sick, so they're staying in the house. So we just went out, got a little light meal, and then came on back home early. I don't like to be out dark. I don't like to drive in the dark. So, we got back in the house early because here it's only 7:18, but it's getting dark now. And it's cold today. You can tell by my hat. It's pretty cold today. It's windy. And so, I got to keep my hat on, stay warm. So, well, let's first things first. Let's go ahead and check out some charts. You guys can pull up btcusd.com and you'll get the Google chart, which is a line chart. I want it to be too intricate. So what do we, let's look at what we see here. I'm looking over the chart. All right. Just give me a time here. So Friday at 15:30, Bitcoin was $68,002. That is at 15:30, right? Okay, well, 15:30 Eastern Standard Time. So what is 15:30 Eastern Standard Time? 3 minutes before the market is going to close, right? And it's a Friday. So you notice, if you look at the chart, we went from 68,302 down immediately and broke under 67,000. And to us, it looks like manipulation, and maybe it is. That Friday, it is a thinly traded market. And what I mean is everybody's done what they've done for the week. The last 30 minutes isn't about high volume trading or high frequency trading. So when you get people on that last minute on a Friday, they can push it down. They push it down, And then what I hate about this, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, they push it down, and I in this pattern, Bitcoin goes up about, whatever percentage. Let's say it went back up 68%, right? And so 68,000. And then on Monday morning, it opens at 68,000. Then what happens is you have a gap in the chart because, the COMEX closes on Friday. You can still buy and sell Bitcoin, but the COMEX, where you get Bitcoin contracts, closes at Friday and opens back up Monday morning. So if you close at one price on Friday and open it at a wider price on Monday, you get the term you hear people, it has to fill that gap, right? Because when you look at the chart, you'll see a gap in your chart. And, they don't like gaps in your chart. So when you see something like that, 66,000 and whatever, I got 525 right now, would be a number where people would say it has to backfill. Might have to back test that. There's a gap there. So, that's the thing when they push it down like that. If it stayed at this price over the weekend, actually bad because you wouldn't get a gap that has to fill or things like that, or a certain number, 66,000, that has to retest. So we're going to keep our eye on that. I'm going to watch it all weekend because I don't have anything better to do. No, I got a couple of things, but I've watched it all weekend. Hey, who is this? Sad Hampter? Okay. Hello, Sad Hampter. Thanks. Who else is this here? Hi, Free Diddy on Gang. Oh, okay. Well, that's. Oh, thank you, Hi Bye, for joining us. We really appreciate your presence here. All right, so I move over to the precious metals charts, and they're looking good for a Friday because things like that happen in a thinly traded market. You see, gold looks like it closed 2762. So that's great. If you look at gold, it's been doing great all week. So let's check it out. The 1 week, come on now, go. And it's up about, let me check, about a 1% over 1 week. Gold is up 3.23% over the month, and let's go year over year to date. Gold's up 33%. So that's a low time preference there. You see, when they say year to date, they're talking about January 1st. So since January 1st to today, October 25th, you have gold up 33%. And that's pretty good. That's pretty good as far as investments go. I know when you get in the crypto, people are looking for, larger and larger and larger returns. But as we speak about quite often, you want to protect your money. So if you put your money in gold as a protection, and then you get 33% return on it, that's a win-win. So that's a very good asset to protect your other assets. And remember, gold is one of 3 tier 1 assets. You got gold, you got US dollars, and US treasuries. Those are tier 1 assets. Gold has no counterparty risk. So that's why people like it as protection. And it protects against inflation. I forgot to see what silver is up for those time periods. Just give it. Silver is up. Come on, guys. Here we go. Silver is up. Come on, silver. 6% for the month. And year to this January 1st, silver is up 41.32%. So if you're just protecting your money in precious metal, you're up 30 and 40%. And that's great. That's a great return. You go out here, you see these fund managers, and you ask them what kind of return they're getting for their clients. If they're getting 10%, it's a wonderful thing. A lot of these guys, and I'm talking about guys who work for Goldman Sachs and Merrill Lynch and all that stuff, Charles Schwab, they're getting negative returns on their clients' portfolios. And they're paying big money. Not only they're paying big money, they're putting big money into it. And they're not getting any return. You ask one of these old school fund managers, they don't want to hear nothing about Bitcoin. And they're going to tell you gold, silver is nice, but they're going to also tell you you should just allocate it at a very small percentage. They're going to tell you something like 5%, 10% is being aggressive. And so, but you'll have 10%, 15% or something allocated to Apple. You'll have 25% allocated in Google, but you won't have that in gold. At least that's what they tell you. So, you know, counterparty risk over there, you see it. There's counterparty risk everywhere where there's a CEO and CEO does certain things, they sell certain things. And I got a story about that and we will talk about it. So yeah, so that's what the it's looking like here. What's up, bro? Kinsley Breeden. All right, being here with us. I got wait, sorry. Kinsley, I am well. How are you, sir? I am well. It is Friday night, and I'm about to rest and relax and chill out for the evening. So that's what they're gonna do there. They're gonna talk you out of stuff like that. It's ridiculous, but that's what they do. Cryptonomics, what's up, Cryptonomics? In the building. Sad Hampton, yes, sir. Hey, and you did it. Okay, y'all crazy on that one. So I'm gonna go into this first article and see what this first article is about. There's a lot of articles out here, y'all. I get them up, I read them, and I say, what we gonna do with them? Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. What you gonna do with that? For what? Fort. No, I need that. All right, that's all right. The kids trying to build a fort and they trying to take my cover. You see how they do? All right. No, I need that. All right. The first we want to talk about is I'm not going to read the story, but what I am going to do is I'm going to go about speaking on the story. I like to have real numbers when I talk about it, just so that we got real hard numbers. And so let me get this numbers out for you guys. Sorry. Okay, here we go. So this first story is about Warren Buffett. Now, I don't really, talk about Warren Buffett much, but some things he does is significant, and we might have to speak on that. So this came out through Yahoo Finance. How long ago? 10 hours ago. So Warren Buffett sells over half of his Berkshire's Apple stake. Okay. And then we'll backtrack. Okay, billionaire investor Warren Buffett, known as the Oracle of Omaha, has slashed his bet on Apple by 56% to 400 million shares in the past few quarters at Berkshire's Hathaway Financial. So that's his company, for people who didn't know. It is the largest divestment recorded in the latest filings of Form 13F of the Securities and Exchange Commission documenting Buffett's investment changes. So we'll stop right there. What does that say? So he divested 400 million shares. No, so not $400 million worth of Apple shares, 40 shares. So then I have to go look at the Apple price to see what real number is. They didn't even give us that because the number is probably ridiculous. Okay. Now, look what he's doing. He has enough power, enough investment in different companies to really shape the company's shake the company's portfolio, and it can shake what its valuation is. So just today, Apple, without knowing anything, seeing 400 shares dumped onto the market out of nowhere. And now Apple's price is going to suffer. And he's doing this more than to just Apple. And this is backdoor dealings because it's really CEO to CEO speak, right? He must be speaking to Tim Cook, and Tim Cook's not saying or doing something that he wants it done that way. So he knows I can just divest and put Tim Cook in a bad position. So it's a dirty game out there. Let's see. Let's go a little bit further into this. Since Buffett took over the helm of Berkshire Hathaway, this company has registered some of the highest returns anywhere in the world. But recent maneuvers depict that this giant is now turning cautious. After October 2022, Buffett and his team sold equities worth $132 billion, while they bought only $11 billion worth. This period of not selling shows that organizations are willing to make changes in anticipation of an economic change, such as an anticipated rise in corporate taxes. Okay, rise in corporate taxes. And what about him selling where he knows he's going to get a profit, put cash on the sideline, wait for the price to drop back down because it will, because he sold so many shares, and then he buys it back, right? That's the game, right? Sell high, buy low, but it seems like everybody does it the other way. That's crazy. Okay, although net for gains, Buffett's decision to substantially reduce Berkshire's stake in Apple, though open market sales was publicly debated at the Berkshire Hathaway annual general meeting. He suggested that the rise in tax measures meant that it may be prudent for there to be gains at a better tax level, generally during the current period. So he's looking out for taxes. He's looking out for taxes at the at Apple's expense, I suppose. Also, he is turning the focus to what regards as Wall Street's largest reverse stock split of 2024, indicating that he is changing the direction of investment strategy, such as a step in consistent with his previous actions, which relied on forecasts of macroeconomic variables and microeconomic results. So macro is he's looking at the long-term big view variables, and he's looking for micro, which is short-term, like a tighter view, short-term returns, gains, and profits. So also what we have to say here, so people follow steps that Warren Buffett takes. So when they see Warren Buffett divesting from a certain company, you might see other large companies start to divest. And so that hurts Apple all the way around. And the thing that I've known, I would ask Erin, is she's resting in the bed, but she's not asleep, so she can hear me.
I'm here. I'm watching the show like y'all are.
I would ask, what was I about to ask? You guys in the comments let me know as well. Apple, when it first started out back in the day, Apple was about innovation. And that's why you used to see the stock price, bam, 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 bam. But we don't see innovation as much. At least I feel like I don't see it as much. Since he died. Yeah, since he died, you go get an iPhone. It's some upgrades in it. Little upgrades, right?
But the upgrades we have been seeing from Samsung. So I don't.
Even when you go to buy a new computer, the iMac, I said, well, I bought one 3 years ago. This one doesn't seem that much better, but it costs a lot more. They're not having technological breakthroughs. So everybody's just buying it on the strength that it's a FANG stock and it's safe. But you have guys selling 400 million shares. I don't know how safe that is. So let's go on. So therefore, kind of significant shedding from earlier area is done under keen observation by the financial fraternity, since the man at the helm, Warren Buffett, is known to execute transformative market trend strategies just before everyone else. This latest maneuver is no exception and may be the signal for new investment paradigms at school and market shift. I agree with that totally. If any of you guys are holding Apple, this would be a good time to take a look at it and see how you feel about being in Apple, and see how far you are in the profit or whatever. But if he did that, he must know something is coming. So just keep an eye on your Apple stock. Keep an eye on your Apple stock, and definitely keep an eye on the news with Warren Buffett, because he's driving the markets right now. And that's tough right there. That's tough right there. Out of the blue on a Friday, you see somebody sell that much. And so, like I said, that's from Yahoo Finance. Definitely a reputable site. So I definitely got to use those. And one more thing, I just wanted to go over it because he's doing it, so we got to keep it. Is the fact that he is selling, and we mentioned this before, Warren Buffett, this is from thestreet.com. Warren Buffett is selling one of the world's biggest companies. They say, what company is that? They're going to go through all this. Hold on. So he's selling Bank of America, right? And that's one of his larger holdings for banks. And at first, he sold $10 billion worth Bank of America. And now it looks like he has sold up to 300 billion worth. And this is important. I don't know if you're invested in Bank of America. Why it's important is because, like she talks about, you have these bank collapses. Bank collapses are on the, and looks like Bank of America is the shakiest one out there of the tier 1 poor banks.
Hold on. Yep. Tell them why it's super shaky, because he stays selling his Bank of America shares. Yeah. He's part of the reason.
Yeah, so he dumped 10 billion Bank of America stocks, pushing state company below 10%. So he has like a weighted average. If you had a pie chart, he wants his Bank of America holdings to 10%. That's important because investors with stakes above 10% must report their traders to Securities Exchange Commission within 2 days, other than quarterly, as other institutional investors do. Right? So it's a different, if he did that to another company, for example, Apple, he doesn't have to report it till quarter's end. But because it's a bank, he has to report it 2 business days. That's why we know about it so quick. So keep your eye on Bank of America. If you're invested in it, keep your eye on it. If it is your personal bank, keep an eye on it, because as we learned, how did they put it? People who loan their money to the bank is what's actually you're doing. You are a unsecured loan. You do not have collateral. When you loan them something, no collateral is given back to you. So all that means is if you get a bank to go under, you are the last to be paid. If at all. You know, FDIC always says 250,000, but it'll be a while. It'll be a while.
Maybe $25, $50, maybe $100 for you to open a checking account in another bank, just in case.
Yeah. And you know, you can have $200 in there. They'll just sit on it for a long, long time. So, you know, watch your money if you got it in Bank of America.
$2,000 in there.
Yeah, you got 20, they still look at you like all right, y'all. So they're gonna pay out the big dogs first and trickle down, and us little people on the bottom will get paid out last.
Well, you should definitely look into some of the other banks just in case, because Bank of America is in big trouble. I don't know if they're going to get the bail-in or not. I would like to make an assumption that they will, but you know what happens when you assume, make an ass out of both you and me.
Yeah, so
but definitely, you know, get a Chase account or a local credit union. If you're military, get with USAA. But you want to have your banking diversified also for these reasons.
Yes, that is true. And so, you know, because he's out here liquidating at a very high rate and getting ready with cash on the sidelines, I believe he's looking for prices to go down so he can just buy it back at a cheap price. So if that's what he's doing, you know, that's what I'm prepared to do. He doesn't like Bitcoin. He's not big on precious metals. His thing is about corporations that build up the United States. That's his thing. So he invests in airlines. He invests in cruise lines. He invests in banks. He invests in Apple. So things that he believes will help America as far as jobs and rising salaries. So that's what's been left BOA since $35 overdraft. Hell yeah. Well, welcome to the room, sir. Yes, that $35 overdraft, man, that's weak. That's weak. And you know what? These banks, all top tier banks, make over $1 billion yearly on overdraft fees.
There is I cannot remember his name, but he's a banker. He has a super yacht. And you know how men name themselves?
Yeah.
Y'all can look this up. You can Google it. Banker names his super yacht overdraft because it's all of the overdraft fees that he was bringing into his bank that paid for. Do you know how much a super yacht cost? A super yacht?
Yeah. So they're eating off of overdraft fees, and you know that's not right. You know, I don't know how that's ethical, but it happens. So yeah, Bank of America. We had Bank of America back in the day, but I don't know. It was weird. So, it wasn't no big deal.
We ended up we got mad for something, closing the account, and so now we have Wells Fargo and Chase.
Yeah, because back in the day, I'm showing my age, but we like to use military credit unions. They always were great to us. Military credit unions probably some of the best banks I think we ever had. And they really worked with people with active duty. You could get loans.
USAA, Navy Federal Credit Union.
Right back. Federal Credit Union.
Yeah, but you gotta have some type of affiliation.
Yeah, so those banks were great. You could buy a house very easily. It was easy to use your VA bill through the military credit unions. It was easy to get a personal loan. That's the first thing somebody told me to do when I was 19 years old. And it was a supervisor. And she told me, she said, go down to the bank, take out a personal loan and just pay it back. I said, okay. So I went and did it, and just paid it back. I didn't spend any money. I just took what it was and just paid it right back. And I seen how that shot my credit score up. And then I was able to work with the bank and get a house and able to get a car and all this stuff. So we were able to start off early. So I always respect the military credit unions, but you get, like she said, you have to have affiliation. You could still use USAA as being veteran. Mm-hmm. So, but man, this is bad. So let's go into, so we're going to pivot from that here. And what we're going to talk about here is everybody wants to know. I made a big deal about it. What happened at the BRICS Summit? All right, so that was 22nd through the 24th this past week. You had over 59 countries there. And so we have some interesting news that I found very interesting. And so this was in Kazan, Russia. This is from Reuters.com, October 24th. So that was yesterday. Here's a brief summary of the outcome of the BRICS Summit. So, President Xi Jinping, I have a problem saying his name. I'm sorry.
You're the Chinese president?
Yeah, Chinese president.
Just the Chinese president.
And, get it. And the Indian Prime Minister, Modi, met just 2 days after New Delhi announced that it had reached a deal with Beijing to resolve a 4-year military standoff on their Himalayan frontier. So just coming to the BRICS Summit, they were able to stop war. It's just two men able to talk to each other without any interjection. Were able to put a pause on the war for 4 years. What is it said? On the frontier, lots of leaders attended. Putin, who wanted to show that the West's attempt to isolate Russia over the Ukraine war has failed, was able to attract major leaders such as the leader of China and the leader of India, and nearly 20 others, Turkey's leader Erdogan, and the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres also attended. So you got big players at this thing. There's big players talking about making major moves against the Western world, which is the United States, which matters to us, but they also consider Canada, the UK, the G7 nations, Western world. So they're making large moves on those countries. Putin said more than 30 countries had expressed a desire to join the BRICS, though there was little immediate clarity on how expansion would work. Okay.
But one of the ways is that they needed a favoring consensus. Mm-hmm. So there was trouble at the BRICS Summit. There was beef. There was shade thrown.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, Brazil has...
Oh, no, that's the next story. I'm getting to that next one.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that because that was dirty. Maybe, maybe not. The Ukraine war. BRICS leaders did raise the Ukraine war with Putin in different formats, but there was no sign that anything specific would be done to end the conflict. So that's just an ongoing conflict, unfortunately. BRICS money. BRICS predicted its influence would grow and outlined common projects ranging from a grain exchange to a cross-border payment system. Here are the main points. Now, we talked about this last show, the cross-border payment system, which is called BRICS. And the new coin is called, what was it called? It's called...
It's not called XRP?
Well, yeah, it is the unit. That's right. It's called the unit. And it's supposed to be fit. It's a mixture. It's a coin, 40% Gold, 60% mix of basket currencies, with no country having more than 33%.
They wanted to show a bit of like bipartisan kind of.
Doing their best because they understand that you got to come together if you want to take the next step. But then left both of them never use a bank, use a credit union instead. Yeah, that's what I meant. All the credit unions we use.
Credit unions are not they're not infallible, right? They're not invincible.
Right.
And we've seen several credit unions fail and not get bailed in. Like no part of the banking system, based on the way it's structured, because it's structured in debt.
Yeah.
It's structured in debt. So on a spiritual level, right? As spiritual beings on this hard creation in which everything is created in abundance, the system was never designed to work through debt. That's why we see every single currency that has ever been created fails at the end, because all of it is created in some type of weird debt.
Yeah, and if you do this is a fun fact, if you do the math, every single currency in the history of the world,
it's over 300, right?
They've all failed at some point in time. And their shelf life is about average 47 years, right? So if you look at that, the US dollar has made it far past its shelf life. And the British sterling pound, that thing is almost 400 years old. So those two have made it far past shelf life. Most currencies die under 47 years. Those two make it 47 years. You got to see currencies go away in Africa, Venezuela. What's the currency that just went away recently? Nigeria is having trouble. Zimbabwe. These currencies are bound to fail because they are not pegged to anything. And once you realize they're not pegged to anything, they just lose their value faster and faster and faster. And the dollar was pegged to what? Weapons? It's a petrodollar, as they call it. Still not pegged to anything. And this new unit that they're working on is 40% pegged to gold. All right, the Middle East. Putin told BRICS leaders that the Middle East was on the brink of full-scale war after a sharp rise in tension between Israel and Iran. So they're having problems right there. So he has to deal with some of the problems, as Putin is pretty much seems like he's the head of this, right? It's supposed to be, everybody's supposed to be equal in leadership, but Putin seems like he has the most influence and he's making the most moves. But also the Chinese president is making moves too. So those two, I think, are running the show, leading the way. I don't believe all this talk about unit myself. I don't know if it'll work or not, but they got a white paper and they already been doing payments. Yeah, they got a white paper on the unit and they explain it. Yeah, and they explain how they want to get it in use by 2026. So that is China and Russia spearheading that. And I don't know where it will be, if it'll ever come to be, but it is something that is being talked about heavily. So we, definitely we got to keep an eye on it if people are saying that this may happen. What do we say? Credit unions are less likely to fee a creditor to debt. Deliver that they work with you, and that's what I liked about credit unions. It was kind of like a neighborhood thing. They knew you. You come in, they say, "Oh, how you doing, Mr. So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so?" They knew you. When you come in or whatever, you go cash your paycheck. I'm showing my age because I had to cash my paycheck. If you come in to cash your paycheck, they knew what it was. They didn't need to see ID. It felt like family oriented. And but if you go to a big bank, no. If you go to a big bank, it feels cold, sterile. Different people in there. They rotate in and out. They don't know you. I got to show my ID, but I've been banked for 7 years, and all right. And everybody got to look at it. If I ask for too much money, they got to go get somebody to verify that I can get my own money. Yeah, banks are on that bullshit. So yes, I agree with that, man. Banks be on that bullshit. They don't let you take out your own money or ask you questions. It's like, what you gonna spend it on? Does it matter? Does it matter? I mean, I'm gonna spend it on cocaine and whores. Give me my money though. It's my money. I put it there. Now I want it. Give me my money. It don't matter. But yes, also if they do oh, sorry, I can't say fail, which is very rare. But earlier, y'all was talking about charge overdraft fees. Yes, and credit unions have auto draft protection, so you don't pay those. Yeah, I remember that. I actually missed that. I missed that because for me, in my strategy, it's not about having money in the bank. For me, it's about having as least amount of money in the bank as possible, right? I don't want no money in there. And the thing that hurts me is I get a lot of international fees. So if I go somewhere and use my debit card, you'll get an international fee. Depends on how much you spend. It could be $1.50 and must go up to $4 or $5. So then you say, well, I'll take out cash. So the one time you remove cash, you're going to get a ATM fee from the Mexican bank, which here is called Citibanamex. And then you'll get a fee on the other side from your bank in the United States. So you get a double fee. So that stuff, like if you leave $20 in a bank account, like I'm gonna just leave this here so the fees can eat it up, right? You got to do that because if you take it too close to zero, you'll get, it'll take you over. They don't have that overdraft protection. And then, here they go. They want that overdraft fee. So they are dirty.
You got 24 hours to fix it.
If you're not looking or you're not checking 24 hours, it go by. You didn't never check it.
I mean, how many people don't get an alert right to their phone?
Right.
As soon as we use that card, the alert go right to the phone.
So yeah, banks are struggling. I want to talk about banks some more later on. I don't keep much in the bank either. It's better under my yeah. So I try to keep enough in there as we need. We need groceries, enough for groceries. Go out to eat, enough for that. So we keep it. We keep it close. And Erin, she checks the balance. She lets me know like we're down close. So then I'll just move over.
As soon as our income hits the checking account, Simon's usually on top of that. But like, hey, Simon, the income hit the checking account or whatever. And first thing he does is allocates it out to Bitcoin, Swan coin, this coin, that coin, precious metals, one gold, next. I just named, it's a slew of avenues where ourselves first for real. That happens first. And then
pay these kids. We gotta feed these kids, man. It's a lot of money.
It's also another reason why it's good not to have we don't have credit card bills or anything like that. So typically once we pay the rent.
Yeah, I'm a simple guy, man. I don't really want much. So I don't need much. I don't ask for much. And we just gotta buy stuff for the kids, really. They growing fast, new clothes, new shoes. I got my one son, you probably seen at the basketball tournament.
Yeah, he been eating real sneakers.
Now I bought him a pair of LeBron James. They cost me a little bit. They cost me a little bit, but all right, he's really good. So I'll invest and got him a size 13, right? So a month later, he got a big hole in the front and toe of his shoe. And I said, what are you doing? I said, how do you get a hole in LeBron James shoes is 30? That's why I bought him. He got a big hole in his big toe. So now I got to go find some other shoes. So,
in college.
Oh, you talking about Zion Wilson?
Zion Wilson did.
Yeah, he tore him up.
So I'm on the hook for another $200-$300 pair of sneakers.
Yeah, those are killers right there. Boom! Reminder: BRICS was created right after the U.S. market crash in 2008. China created the Belt Road Initiative, which joins over 160 countries to cut off U.S. and Europe. Yep, and we is Boom? Is that BK Crypto? That's the new name.
No,
that's different. Boom. Okay. Well, last show we spoke about that, the Silk Road Initiative, and how it you got the numbers right there. It is the X out United States, and the road takes up over 75% of the population in the world because so much goes through Africa, and it takes up 50% of GDP of the entire world. So even though it doesn't come to the West, it has a lot of it in it, and it also touches every country that is involved in OPEC. So they knew what they were doing when they did it. They've been planning and masterminding. You could start looking back like, damn, I didn't even see it in 2008 when they made that move. But looking back on it, you could be like, oh yeah, I see what they were doing. So yeah, man, it's some smart individuals out here who, it's like Pinky in the Brain, man. Somebody go take over the world. But he says Bank of America will be okay. In fact, I think it could rise 100%. Oh, wow. A double on Bank of America? he bought back in. I don't know what he's doing. I don't even know what Bank of America's stock price looked like.
Something to do that the CEOs don't, doing what they tell them. But
Oh, my bad. My bad. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, boom. Okay, all right. So, no, he's from the GOC, follow. I thought it was BK Crypto because he always says boom when he come in. My bad. I apologize. So this last story I'm gonna speak on the BRICS and then I'll move on. Venezuela, one of my favorite countries. Venezuela vents its anger at Brazil's BRICS snub. What? A BRICS snub? How's that work? So Venezuela has criticized Brazil's decision to veto its admission to the BRICS group of emerging economies. Venezuelan foreign minister described the move, which came at the group summit in Russia attended by more than 20 heads of state, as an immoral aggression. Okay. Relations between the two left-wing governments have worsened since July's contested presidential election in Venezuela. President Nicolas Maduro said he had secured re-election despite evidence that the opposition's Edmundo Gonzalez won by a landslide. So let's stop right there. Venezuela has been in turmoil for so long. I'm not sure how their relationship was with BRICS. I know back in the 90s, not BRICS, with Brazil. I know back in the 90s, Venezuela had a pretty solid relationship with Brazil. But as time went on, it seemed like Brazil's economy, way of life, everything worse as Brazil kind of got better and better over time. Now, this is a big deal because it seems in the news that the president stole the election. And not that he steal it like on some close numbers. It was a landslide. He just said, I'm not leaving office. What you gonna do about it? So he's strong arming the people over there because he's still the commander in chief of his military. So if he don't leave the office, the other man can't step in, correct? So Brazil doesn't like those type of tactics. We can't partner up with you if these are the type of tactics you take as the head of a nation state. So they told him no. And not that Brazil has all veto power, but what it is, as them working together, they defer to Brazil to say, well, this is a country that is neighboring yours. What do you think? And Brazil says, don't do it. Then they get vetoed by BRICS. So Brazil's upset by that. Relations between the two left-wing governments, yeah, we got that. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, they got long names, initially supported Maduro, but eventually said he would not accept the official result until a breakdown of the vote was released. Now, see, he still wants to see the official results. Maduro's hiding them. He's just saying, I'm the president, get over it. Now, he can get away with that with the people of his country because they have no recourse. But people who want to do business with you and let you in coalitions like this, they get to say no because they don't want somebody in their coalition who has that type of mindset, right? Because it's easier to let them in, it's harder to get them out of your coalition. And if you have that kind of mindset, they don't want you benefiting off of it because you're really not about what BRICS is trying to do. So Venezuela got a snub. Multiple foreign governments have said they believe the opposition won the election in Venezuela, but stopped short of recognizing Gonzalez as the president. Stop short? Yeah, I would say so. The Brazilian Foreign Ministry has decided to maintain the veto that former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has applied against Venezuela for years, reproducing the hatred, exclusion, and intolerance promoted from the centers of power in the West. The Venezuelan Foreign Ministry said in a statement, the Venezuelan people feel indignation and share at this inexplicable and immoral aggression, it added. So let's stop right there. I'm gonna get to that point. But as there's a big story, there was big stories that Venezuelans were coming to the United States. I guess it was a big thing in Colorado, it was happening in Houston and some other cities. And they're just coming through, taking over buildings, shaking people down, kicking people out their apartments. They're doing everything, walking around with high rifles. They do anything. So even hearing that type of news in the West from the BRICS nation, they say we don't want We don't want these people in our coalition because these people they're not moving. They're uncontrollable. We don't know how we can deal with them. So they just told them, and I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at them for that. So they're feeling indignation and shame at this inexplicable and immoral aggression, it added. Well, Venezuela had lobbied hard to join the BRICS, with Maduro even making a surprise appearance at the summit in the city of Kazan and declaring his country was part of the BRICS family. So let me tell you what that means. You see how people write this stuff? This is from BBC News too. So listen to what he said. Listen to what he said. This is funny to me. So Lulu was scheduled. No, I'm off of that. And Venezuela's position, but added it would only be able to join BRICS in the consensus of favor. But the funny thing that he said is Venezuela made a surprise appearance at the summit. So what does that mean? That means they weren't invited. No surprise appearance at the summit. They invite the people who they want to come to the summit and who they want to be a part of BRICS nations and BRICS Plus. They did not invite Venezuela. Venezuela came on their own anyway. So what did they expect? That's like somebody you didn't invite to your Super Bowl party and they just show up and they're going to be acting the ass and messing everything up. Like, that's why I didn't invite you, for a reason. So that's crazy. They just crashed the party. I don't know. He showed up with his foreign ministry and everything. That's crazy. But anyway, and when he showed up, he declared that his country was part of the BRICS family.
Of what?
Russian President Vladimir Putin, who hosted the summit, said he agreed with Venezuela's position, but added that would only be able to join the BRICS if there was a consensus in favor among its members. So Brazil's holding out. We know Brazil's position. We don't agree. Venezuela is fighting for its survival. Putin said at a news conference Thursday, this is true, they are fighting for survival. He discussed the issue with Lala when they spoke on the phone this week. Lula is the name, was scheduled to travel to Russia for the summit, but canceled the trip after injuring his head in an accident at home on Saturday. Putin added that he would work to help two South American neighborhoods mend relations. South American mend relations, right? So Putin's going to step in there and try to mend the property. We know Venezuela is very mineral rich. So people may be looking at it from that perspective. What you say, Aaron, a lot of gold over there. We know it's a lot of oil over there.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, economically, they need the help.
Yeah, so anybody who let them in probably could start dominating their oil reserves and maybe the gold that they have in Venezuela. Very, very mineral rich. Bauxite was the other one. They got
They had gold.
I know they got bauxite. They got the
trying to infringe on Guyana.
Yeah, so they
that ain't gonna fly.
So yeah, it's problems down there, man, when you're dealing with Brazil. But in an attempt to strengthen the group counterweight to the Western-led world, he has also exposed other divisions, leaving relations between Brasilia and Caracas at the lowest ebb since Lula's re-election 2 years ago. Right, so that's who's fighting. Two capital cities have to fight it out, Caracas and Brasilia. And so that's what they got going on there in the BRICS. A little bit of gatekeeping right there. Gatekeeping, Brazil can say yes and let them in, but as long as Brazil stands firm on the no, Venezuela cannot get in. Mm-hmm. So that's that, man. For my Venezuelans out there, people got family in Venezuela. It's a tough time right now, but usually you got to ebb and flow. They'll come back, man. Go down and come back. So let's go over something else real quick. And I just want to get through this real quick because we were talking about the banks. And I missed this topic, but I will go over it because the gentleman of crypto spoke on it. And I just want to reiterate it in case you guys didn't check it out this week. But what happened was the buzz of the week was about Michael Saylor. And Michael Saylor came out with a statement saying that people should custody their Bitcoin with big banks. Right. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that article that came out earlier this week. And And yes, they do. Yes, they do. And that's why they are forming. If they all own U.S. debt, that's a big power move they have on the United States. That's why I say the Western world is being torn apart from the inside and from outside pressures of other nations. So yes, that's problematic. But Michael Saylor said all of a sudden after all these years of Michael Saylor talking about it being independent of banks and you can self custody and all the great things about Bitcoin and all the reasons you don't need a bank anymore. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, Michael Saylor says you should custody your bank, your Bitcoin with a big bank, one of the top 4 banks. It was like, what? Where's this coming from? Right? And so then everybody, on social media started jumping on him. They jumped on him hard. They jumped on him hard and fast. And so then you got a quick, he got a quick step back, right? Shout out to King Bless because he spoke of this morning. Now he's stepping back. He got a new tune. So Michael Saylor reverses on self custody after backlash. Now this comes from Cointelegraph. So there was a backlash for sure, and he had to reverse pivot. I support custody for those willing, able. Saylor said in a new post after encouraging big banks custody in an interview earlier this week. MicroStrategy founder Michael Saylor backpedaled on his comments that big banks should take custody of Bitcoin following a torrent of backlash from crypto community. I support self-custody for those willing and those able, the right to self-custody for all and freedom to choose the form of custody and for custodian for individuals and institutions globally. Saylor declared in a post 23rd. So that's how quick he had to get back in front of it. It looks like 2 days. Saylor has been taking heat from the crypto community, including Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin, calling out paranoid crypto analysts. He called them paranoid crypto analysts. Okay. At the same time, he suggested that Bitcoin holders should trust their assets to too big to fail banks that are engineered to be custodians of financial assets. Bitcoin benefits from all the form of investment by all types of entities and should welcome everyone, Saylor said, apparent to his redemption post on X. So, King Bless brought up a good point this morning where he spoke about the Bitcoin space. So a lot of people of us, we've been in the Bitcoin space for a long time, right? We should have some kind of like badge so we can show like I've been here since, some people talk to us about it like we don't know nothing. We've been here for many years. He said one of the problems is you get a guy like Michael Saylor who kind of maybe comes late to the Bitcoin party. What would you say? He came about 2020, I believe, 19 or 2020. And what happens is he has access to large amounts of capital and he is able to buy large amounts of Bitcoin and have it as a treasury reserve asset. So then as time goes on, it seems as if he's the Bitcoin OG. Michael Saylor, you roll out how many Bitcoin he has and how much MicroStrategy has. So to newcomers, it looks like, oh, Michael Saylor is the Bitcoin OG, but he's not. He's not. And, and that's the problem when everybody's looking at him as the OG. I mean, I respect his knowledge and I respect what he did for Bitcoin in the community. But you know what I'm saying? Bitcoin OGs know better than to say something like that. Now, he has a point, a small point. So I'll take him at that people custody if they're willing and able, but certain people aren't able, right? Somebody older, they act like they don't know technology and stuff like that. It's hard for them to custody and get stuff into some kind of ledger or just they don't even know how to buy it off of the exchange. So those people might need the custody and you have to do your due diligence, but don't be out here as a quote unquote Bitcoin OG. Tell us, the community, we should be custody with the big 4 banks when for the past 4 years, you've been slamming the banks. So I don't know. Some people say, Aaron said he maybe got a tap on the shoulder.
Tap on the shoulder.
I don't know. I don't know who he works for. I know he's CEO of his corporation, but we never really know who these people work for. So
right?
Gary Gensler's goofy ass.
You get big enough, you have enough capital. You got to remember he's on the road to having what they say trillions in Bitcoin. And his influence in the community is by far the largest influence that they can access. So, I mean, to me, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah. So here's a good quote by Max Kaiser, formerly of the Kaiser Report, but I don't know where he at now. He just disappeared, but he now lives in El Salvador. Max Kaiser said, "The recent comments attacking self-custody demonstrate a regressive tendency to favor the legacy centralized banking crooks that Bitcoin fixes." And that's what we're saying. He's looked at as a Bitcoin OG, but he's giving out information that still says do as the old legacy banking and still get your money taken by crooks, right? What's the difference? You remember you're not supposed to ever leave your Bitcoin on an exchange, right? What's the difference? People were leaving it on exchange to get a little percentage. You leave something over here, we'll give you 12%, right? And then what happens? These guys file bankruptcy and then they're sitting on your coins. It's no different than that. Why would I sit my stuff in Bank of America and then there's a problem? I have a problem getting fiat currency out sometimes. So why would I want to have my Bitcoin there? So somebody get asked, why are you taking that this amount of Bitcoin? So yes, his comments he had a track on them really quick. And that's just, I don't know what made him say that. That's what I say. I don't know what made him say that. So, so I say, man, these OGs, just because they have a lot invested doesn't mean they know it, understand it, or fully ride with it. Like the OGs do. These guys, man, they're in it. I mean, he's rich. He's a billionaire. Buying Bitcoin. If you don't buy Bitcoin, he's still a billionaire. So it's different. It's different for him. And we coming at it from a freedom aspect, right? We want freedom. We want freedom. We want freedom to be our own bank. And so I thought that was weird. I'm sorry I dropped the ball on that one last week. And but I will shout out Big King Bless did drop this week that information. And so that's, I'm done with BRICS there. You guys got anything? I give up on BRICS for the day. The BRICS is tough. They always do it. So which one do we have here? I had a couple left. So what about this one? All right, what do you think about this? I don't know. Which one to do? So we're going to talk one more thing. I'm going to talk about a payment bridge, payment rails, and see what we can do with that. I had a little article pulled up. And sometimes my articles go away, but so we're going to talk about Swift. Let's talk about our favorite payment rail, Swift. And let's see what they're doing. What is Swift? What's Swift got under there? Man, this stuff is funny to me, but you guys know. All right, so this Swift is today, as of today, it's 90% of cross-border payments sent over the Swift network, which reaches destination banks within an hour. But more must be done to the beneficiary leg. And this is just some internet what Swift is, right? It provides main messaging networks as through international payments and initiated. It also software services, financial institutions. Right. Get it. Cool. So let's go into this then. So now we have Swift. And I just talked about this last week, but let's finish it out. Swift right here is looking to try to get in on the Bridge project. Now, we talked about Bridge last week, and Bridge is a new project that they're working on with BRICS and along the Silk Road to be a new payment rail where they can accept that new unit, right? And they don't have to use the dollar. And that is what the BRICS nations are trying to do. So one of the main reasons they are trying to do that is because the United States put sanctions on Russia. And the sanctions, not much you could do with it to them, but what they did do is they kicked them off the SWIFT payment system, which is a big deal because now when Russia has to make payments for things that they import or stuff like that, and they're kicked off with a SWIFT program, they have to find an even harder way to settle their payments. So they've been working on this apparently for quite some time. And so now Swift, seeing what that move does, because I read earlier, it's about 90% of international payments. And when I say international payments, we mean like large payments for large things, commodities and things like that, not like us sending payments back and forth. We have our own means to that. And so now they may jump in on it. And then it's like, well, what does that say? That shows you a small move from the West to try to fight against it. So this is the article. I'm not sure about this website. I see it, but I never really use it. It is Ledger Insights. So Swift could integrate with Enbridge CBDC cross-border payment with a question mark. If I didn't. So during a panel at the SIBOS banking event today, Mu Changung said that the Enbridge cross-border CBDC payment system could connect to traditional payment systems, including real-time gross settlement systems like RTGS and faster payment systems. We are looking forward to possible cooperation with SWIFT in the future, said Mr. Mu, who leads the Digital Currency Institute of the People's Bank of China. So he has some say so. He has some rank. So we got to respect what he says. The next, Enbridge uses distribution ledger technology and sell central bank digital currency to enable direct cross-border payments without using SWIFT or correspondent banks. Participants include the central banks of China, Hong Kong, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, and the UAE, as well as the Bank of International Settlements and numerous commercial banks. The initiative reached the minimum viable products stage in June by removing correspondent banks as intermediaries, and payments are fast and cheaper. So there we go. That says a lot. The possible connection between Swift and Enbridge is noteworthy, given that Enbridge is a potential Swift competitor. SIBOS is Swift's annual event, so Swift deserves credit for providing a public platform for Enbridge. A collaboration between the two could be mutually beneficial. For Swift, its future role might evolve into being an integrator, as recent CBDC interoperability and DLT trials have demonstrated. From Enbridge's perspective, it could expand the payment options available. So maybe we will have a larger and more viable payment option globally. Now, I think one thing that would have to happen is Russia would have to be able to be put back on SWIFT. They'd have to take away those sanctions and get Russia back on SWIFT, right? Just out of respect, you have to do that, or Putin probably is not going to be on board with it. That's me thinking, but Putin's a genius, so you never know what might happen. Let's see, is this anything? While Enbridge has been touted as promoting local currency usage, Governor Zhao said he believes that Enbridge will have little impact on dollar usage. In my mind, I think Enbridge does not exclude the use of the dollar yet, he said. However, he believes the dollar's status as reserve currency is up to the U.S. government. If the U.S. government would like to use the U.S. dollar as a sanction tool, it may reduce the feasibility of other countries to use the U.S. dollar. He added that liquidity, particularly the available of currency swaps, is also important for a reserve currency, right? So all that means is if you're going to be the world reserve currency, you must have liquidity. There must be enough to go around. Not just in the United States, we get our little money here and there. It must be enough to go around all the continents, all the countries. And that's one of the things with the Trifflin dilemma, is that you have to send all your dollars out all over the world. The United States doesn't have a good way of doing that other than printing money. And that's what they do. They print $1 trillion every 90 days. So it's printing $4 trillion every year. And that's how they can get more liquid in the world, because you can't have no liquidity and having them having the dollar as a payment on these large purchases between nation states. So they got to do something about that. And the only thing them do about it is print more money. And that's a bad thing. They'll print it into perpetuity and then it'll be dead. So, a lot of people, a lot of analysts out there say that having the world reserve currency is a privilege. And presidential candidate Trump mentions that losing world reserve currency status would be akin to losing a war. And when I go back and look at it, it's valid. It's validity to that. The U.S. gained the world reserve currency after winning a war, right? Whoever won that war, their currency was going to be the world reserve currency, correct? So the U.S., essentially came out on top of the World War II, and they were able to use their currency as a world reserve currency since 1944. Check me on that, but right there in the mid 40s, right? And so it's hard. It's hard because so much scaling up that everybody needs access to the dollar. And there's not enough dollars. It's not enough dollars. It's not enough dollars for me to take out some money. There's not enough dollars for you guys to take out money. And then you got to send millions and millions and millions of dollars for them to make a settlement or a settlement in gold. So it's gonna become very interesting here. And they say, I'll just read this last thing. They say one of the challenges encountered is unstable network conditions. The consensus mechanism was upgraded this year to help increasing the efficiency by 30%. Mr. Moon said this involved certificates, and we may have misheard and hope to clarify. So you got to believe that, right? That there's not powerful internet all over the world, right? Sometimes you leave these big cities and you go through the countryside, we deal with it. The internet, it just goes away. We deal with it. It just goes away. Like, what happened to the internet? So, it might be problematic as it moves through some of these areas that doesn't have that strong internet. Because places out here still catching up, trying to get optics, right? They late to the fiber optic game. So, man, some of these places, they got old stuff, man. What do you call them? Ethernet cable. Remember, we went somewhere and he was saying we could hook up here, but
dial-up.
Yeah, with some dial-up cable. I'm like, wow, dog. Right. I'm like, what's up, man? This is your internet. And he said, we don't use the internet much. I said, I got you. I see. So yeah, they're gonna work on that. Got to work on the internet because you need the payments to be fast, right? That's what Swift did, provide fast payments. So that's what you have there. Maybe Swift integrating with Enbridge, and I'll keep an eye out on that. That could be interesting. Don't China? Oh, I read that. So let's see here. What you think about the bear who say Bitcoin is a scam for Morgan Stanley trying to become head of the U.S. Treasury? Yeah, see, that's always a problem, man. I feel like that these guys are forced to say this if they want to get that top tier government job. Because if you guys remember, Gary Gensler, the way he behaves now was the way he behaved as a tenured professor at MIT. I tell you many times, I took his course on blockchain ledger back in 2018. He's a very intelligent man, and he had no problems with Bitcoin or any cryptocurrencies as he taught the course. But as soon as he got to be a government job and he got to be in charge of something, his tune changed because he was given his marching orders by somebody, that we don't see. And that's another thing. So a billionaire is about to say Bitcoin is a scam for Morgan Stanley. So you got somebody from Morgan Stanley, probably somebody from the C-suite, high up, trying to become head of the U.S. Treasury. And one of them things is you got to say what they want to say if you want to get the job. And that's what, it's embarrassment when you see stuff like this. But, because that's tap dancing where we come from. That's tap dancing and stuff, man. That's shucking and jiving. Where we come from, we don't get down with that type of activity. But this man's a higher up, and he trying to go as far as he can go. You got to live with that. You don't have any validity to what you're saying. You don't have any proof that it's a scam, and everybody can just, what could they do? And everybody can just invalidate what you're saying. So it makes no sense to even come out there with that position unless your boss says you got to come out there with that position, boy. And that might be what's happening. And it's unfortunate. I hope that the true Bitcoiners pay him no mind, just like we pay Gary Gensler no mind. What do we pay? Do we pay any attention to Helen?
The issue is, though, right? The community doesn't pay them any mind.
Yeah.
They know.
Right.
They've come into the knowing.
Mm-hmm.
It's detrimental because, to me, as far as I'm concerned, the ones who don't know and who were trying to figure it out, you now persuade them back on over to TradFi.
Yeah, it's a legacy finance. So yeah, he is hurting in that regard. New people may not know.
It ain't gonna bother us.
But you see somebody who would be the head of the U.S. Treasury, you think he might know what he's talking about.
Right.
That's what you would think.
But he uses his reputation as a form of being a subject matter expert. You have the 60-year-old who was kind of leaning over towards, maybe I should put some of my retirement in a Bitcoin, and then that comes out and they're like, oh yeah, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah, so they're always throwing a little something at us. That's his name, but even worse. He said, I forgot his name, but he's joining Kamala's campaign. Well, see, they're aligning themselves.
That makes all the sense in the world.
You see people aligning themselves. He wants that. He wants that spot, right? You guys, forgive me, I've forgotten, but people like the U.S. Treasury and so on, these people are appointed by president. They're not voted in, right? And if you guys know, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure they're appointed because Trump has somebody he wants to appoint for the Fed chair. So I think they're appointed. So if he's playing against, he's aligned with her, kind of like, you do what we say, then I'll appoint you as a Fed chair. And he's one. He's not such a great person, Jamie Dimon, and we talk about him on here, and he is a criminal. And I'm not saying that lying. He has been convicted of 2 RICO charges, and never spent a day in jail. He is a criminal running a large organization. Where they let that happen at? Where can a criminal be the CEO of a corporation? He's an outright criminal. If you looked at his criminal record, he's got at least 2 RICO charges on there. He bails out on and just pays the fine, right? He pays $1 billion fine. He makes $3 billion in the co-activity. He pays $1 billion, and he comes up $2 billion. Oh well, and he doesn't care, So, and the last one was for spoofing. He paid out a fine earlier this year, and it wasn't that much in relation to the other ones. He paid out a couple like $55 million fines here and there, which is much, but he's still being fined for doing the wrong things. And that he's a criminal running an organization, and nobody likes about it. Yeah, so another criminal. How could you go up for an office and be a criminal? Have a criminal record? I'm talking about federal criminal record and racketeering. Why? Black man can't get no racketeering charge. You won't see him. He about to go sit down, as we seen. So, he's going for the Treasury. Yeah, and so that probably lets him, do even more criminal things if he has access to the U.S. Treasury. So, man, we got to watch out, man. We got to watch out, family. We got to be due diligence out here. I mean, I'm talking about due diligence every day. I'll be like, okay, what kind of craziness is going on in the world? And it never fails to surprise me. It's something. No day do I wake up and I'm like, oh, what's kind of laid back today? Nothing really going on. It's something. Even on a Sunday morning, I'm trying to get up and watch football, and I got to read all these. I say, all this happening on a Sunday. So it's always something out here. All right, let me see, man. That was pretty good. I just wanted to go over one last thing as a positive, I guess. So let's do something positive out here. And so this article is from cryptoslate.com. I see their articles a lot, and they're pretty good. So I mess with them. So the title of this article, and it's about El Salvador. El Salvador President Nayib Bukele donates 2 Bitcoin towards building 1,000 schools in Honduras. So this is Honduras, not even his own country of El Salvador. So this is him being gracious. So well, let's read what happened or how I got down. El Salvador's president, Nayib Bukele, has donated 2 Bitcoin valued at approximately $133,000 to support the construction of 1,000 schools in Honduras, according to Twitter or X on October 24th. There's a video here, but they're speaking Spanish, so I just left it. In the video, the Bitcoin advocate handed the funds to Shin Fujiyama. Okay. That is the founder of Students Helping Honduras, an organization dedicated to reducing poverty through education, which is a great thing, around the world. You see a lot of lower tier education when you go to these countries, right? And so getting them young at education is a great idea. Fujiyama is currently undertaking a 3,000-kilometer charity run, raise funds for a school building project. In the video, he shared that he almost abandoned the challenge out of fear, but found inspiration from watching video of Bukele, which gave him the courage to persevere. There we go. El Salvador's Bitcoin adoption. So they've had Bitcoin adoption for quite some time now. El Salvador, this donation further reflects Bukele's continued efforts to promote Bitcoin and integrate it into everyday life. However, Bitcoin's adoption rate in El Salvador remains low. So when he says adoption rate, it remains low amongst the people native to El Salvador. And the people you see actually using it are people coming on vacation and the people who are relocated there. But the adoption amongst locals is very low. A recent survey by Francis Gavidia University in San Salvador found that only 7.5% of respondents use crypto for transactions, while 92% do not. Additionally, just 1.3% of those surveyed believe Bitcoin should play a key role in the country's future. Right. So understood that the locals are not having a fast adoption, but you have to also understand that this is the long play, right? Because what it is it's about adoption and education. And what you will end up doing over time period is you will educate the young children at a young age, and then they grow up as always having it in their life, and to them it won't be a problem, right? But to the people maybe what 40 years old and over, they may be unbanked, so now they can't really use it. They may not have capable cell phone. They may have a lot of restrictions to why they can't pay with Bitcoin. But it's really aimed at the younger generation, so that they come up with this information as just from as long as they can remember. So I understand the sentiment of the people not being able to pay, but they just probably don't have it. We went to El Salvador, and when you go out and about, a lot of people, they want cash, right? So they don't even take Visa and MasterCard. So you can't even use that. Where Visa's supposed to be accepted all over the world, you got to use cash. So for them to catch up and get on the bandwagon of using Bitcoin, it might be a long time. So I see this as aimed at the youth. And so they're only using it 7%. However, despite the low adoption rate, 58% of responders expressed confidence in the country's direction under Bukele leadership, particularly in economic and security areas. The survey polled 1,224 Salvadorians aged 18 and older. So since making Bitcoin legal tender in 2021, El Salvador has acquired nearly 6,000 Bitcoin through several purchases and different pro-crypto initiatives. However, this move has faced criticism from international organizations, notably the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. Oh, who would think? Oh, I'm so surprised that the IMF has a problem with it, which recently called for limiting public sector exposure to Bitcoin. Now, what is that talking about? The IMF wants to limit us, public sector, access to Bitcoin. Why does that make sense?
It makes sense to them.
The International Monetary Fund, don't you have larger fish to fry than worrying about the public having some Bitcoin down on the ground? It's ridiculous. And so he's doing this thing. What's not really mentioned in this is everybody knows Honduras is El Salvador's neighbor, right? So if they're getting relations good, he can help if El Salvador can help Honduras, right? That's better in relations. He could put 1,000 schools in there, better in the relations. Maybe he can get them on board. Honduras is trying to get on board with Bitcoin being legal tender. And so they just want to add on. He seems like a very thoughtful, insightful young man. There's a lot of people who don't like him. They call him some type of dictator and some other words and things like that because of the way he rounded up the criminals. But he got the job done. It went from the most dangerous place in the world to the safest place in the Western Hemisphere. So he did something right. I don't know. Boom. Okay, BK Crypto. Boom. I see you. I see you made it. Okay, this was announced on Bloomberg TV yesterday. I had to share it with you. Oh yeah. So man, see, I never get around to those channels anymore. Bloomberg. I still get around to CNBC those from time to time. It's about controlling retail. You say the IMF is about controlling retail, or controlling retail with us having a limited amount of Bitcoin. I think that's probably what you meant more. Yeah, you would control retail. You would control retail, but it's almost, to me, it's exactly the same as back in the early 1900s when the U.S. said you could only have a certain amount of gold. Like, how do you get to tell me how much gold I can have? Right? And so they told you, and it came with a buyback, and give you money for your gold. And no government should be able to tell you how much of an asset you own, right?
Your government right about to tell you can't have nothing and you better be happy about it. Yeah. That's what they're working on.
That's what Klaus say, right? Limit big. So how are you going to limit? That's a good thing. Limit BTC. So that means they're going to have to get real invasive on people. Because what do you know? Like, what do you know? Like, do you know I got Bitcoin? I could be a no coiner, walk up and down the street. You don't even know. So I don't know. If you start to use it, they'll know. But hey,
until then.
Yeah, until then. But you know what? This is why people are leaving the United States. And that's a big deal. And a lot of people don't realize that. There's a lot of people expatriating to the other countries. And a lot of people with money are doing it as well. And so you got all these people coming up from the southern border. They're going to fill in the gaps, right? They're going to fill in the gaps of population that was lost. Also know that the United States is and will be for quite some time
below replacement.
Below replacement as far as population. So all that means is more people are dying than are being born. And because that thing is like turning the Titanic, you can't catch up. Like once it goes below replacement, it's going to be below replacement for quite some while. You can't just turn around and catch up and say, okay, all the women's have four children. And then over 3 decades, we'll catch up, because it won't be like that. It won't be like that. When you're below replacement, you are in a lot of trouble. These Europe are below replacement. Italy is in below replacement. They're giving people money to come here with your family. 20,000 euros. And they're giving you 10,000 euros to have more kids while you live there. Age is what? 18 to 40? They want young people. They need people to help run their country. When I say run their country, I mean the little stuff. They don't have people to be waiters, waitresses. They don't have landscaping. They don't have construction. They got all old people and a whole bunch of young people. When I say young people, I mean kids.
Important stuff. You don't have emergency medicine. You don't have infrastructure.
It's a pilot shortage out there. People don't want to be pilots. I always thought it was a pretty cool job.
But people don't want to be pilots. Flying has been more of a hassle lately.
Yeah, they cancel flight. Homepage of Swift. Homepage of Swift.
Society is collapsing all around.
Yes, everywhere. That's why even if you decide to plant a flag in another country, You gotta do your homework and make sure this country is on the uprise and not a downturn. That's why everybody in the crypto community is so intrigued by El Salvador, because it seems to be on a long uprise. And it's not, it's already been down. It's already been terrible with the gangs, the murders, the homicides. It's already been there. All the drugs, they cleaned it up. And so now it has time to breathe and have time to grow. And what I think could be a place like Singapore or Dubai, where they don't have any problems in there. And that's one country that you can see is making the moves. And he's making moves, and he's keeping his word, which is hard. When you hear president keep his word, hey, that's a rare thing. So he's keeping his word, and I like it. I really like it. I really like it. I like everything that's going on. And yeah, so that's that. You asking for the Swift homepage? I think it's Swift, but man, I just came off the Swift homepage.
But they can Google it.
Yes, yes.
That's super.
Yeah, Society for Worldwide International Finance Transfers, and see, I don't even see a homepage. I got to see a whole bunch of Wikipedias right here. Period.
I see Google push your Bitcoin chart back up.
Oh yeah, it has. And so Quant has a limited supply, less than Bitcoin. Bitcoin has 21 million. Quant has 14 million. Yes, Quant is a limited supply. I do have some Quant sitting in the cut. I don't bother with it. Like, I don't touch it. I just leave it. It's just there for future gains. Yes, they do have a limited supply, and less than Bitcoin. I think I am not familiar. If you could tell me, I'm not familiar with their exact use cases, Quant, but not off the top of my head, because I had bought some of those coins, and I just some of that stuff is bothering my head. But what is Quant's use case? And it could be something that people want to use, but I think in the reality of the world, you're gonna have to stair step this thing. So Bitcoin is gonna have to be first, right? They're gonna have to do Bitcoin first, or they start using other things that have a use case. I know XRP use case for cross international border payments. It has a use, but I feel like because Bitcoin's been around so long, and you're still having problems with people coming around to Bitcoin, Bitcoin will be the first, will actually be used. And then if they see how smooth that works, then they may bring other coins or tokens in to be used. So that's how I see it, just the way that things are going. Because, a lot of this stuff is about, game theory, dominoes falling. So when you see a large company like BlackRock co-sign Bitcoin, then others under them are comfortable with co-signing Bitcoin, so on and so forth. You see a president co-sign it, then other nations are kind of comfortable co-signing it. So that's what that's how I would see it. Let me see. It talks about what talks about? Okay. All right. And also Fast Nickel. Thank you for joining us, Fast Nickel. Sometimes I have a hard time reading that thing. Quant has on the Swift. Quant has limited. So I'm gonna read this one. Dang, I gotta get my laptop back, man. So I can. All right. On the Swift homepage, they mentioned November 2025, and in a video that I did today on my channel, I mentioned that Gilbert Vian says November 2025 is when the switch will be flipped by the who will be flipped by the, I guess, the people in charge. And it talks about Gilbert Verdian and how Quant will be the foundation for the financial system. Did Mr. Verdian, did he give a time frame or anything that he that's for the Swift and Bridge, but for Quant to have global use.
I don't think they can get that fast.
Okay, yeah. It's hard.
In 12 months.
I don't know. Yeah, that's tough. It's tough because these people are having a tough time with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So
that don't mean that's not their objective. but they won't be able to implement it that way.
Yeah, it'll be a viable option if the case says. And as far as we were here with Bitcoin back in the day. Bitcoin did what this use case did, and we traded it. We had it. It was just like a few of us. Going back and forth, and nobody heard of it. So Bitcoin's been that small before, and so over time it blew up. So in the quant, they have the same opportunity by it being a fixed supply. What would quant be as far as is it backed by anything? What would be the value back in quant? Or is it simply use case? But yeah, guys, that was a good conversation. I don't got too much, man. Some boring articles. I wanted to give a shout out to El Salvador, man, because they're doing their thing, and I like to see some positivity when I go down and go these damn articles. Everything's negativity, or it's bad news. I be looking for good news, and it's hard to find. So El Salvador is really trying hard. I will say this, and I don't want to say this, but it's like people like that who buck the system, and I'm speaking of President Bukele. You have to be wary of what's coming your way. If you guys understand what I'm saying. Once people start trying to stand up and buck the machine and the monster, you got to be prepared, right? Got to be prepared. Yeah. So
Gotta read the label.
Yeah, something could happen to you. I would never wish that on, but that's how they get down, man. That's how they get down. So he would be some alliances where he's out there so vulnerable as a small country of 6 million people. It would behoove him to get some alliances. I don't know, it might not even matter, but dang, it might be nice. But something like that. So because small countries get assassinated. We see it. Who's that guy in Haiti? They just came in his house and killed him. They came in the presidential house in Haiti, killed him. And nobody knows who did it, right? They said some Colombians did it, and that's it. It talks about Gilbert Verdian and how quant will be the foundation for the financial system. Hold on. This video can watch at your leisure. So I can pull up quant. And by the way, I used to come on the Gentleman of Crypto channel Friday morning back in 2021. Come on back. Come on back. We better than ever. Yeah, those are the good old days. We used to be on there early in the morning listening to him. We 2 hours. I don't know what time. He be 10. So he's coming on at 10-ish. We're coming on at 8. We be listening early in the morning and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, that's my guys, man. Okay, thank you, Fast Nickel. I'm gonna look for this video and I want to know what Quant's got going on. What's that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm trying to get Fast Nickels, man. Put me on game. No, I thought that's great.
Yeah. Slow nickel and a fast dollar, but that's just a weird thing. I see it fast.
Yeah. So I'll probably see you guys on Monday, probably if we have anything. I mean, I could always have some bad news for Monday, but
no.
But just to get the week started, you like to get the week started off fresh and fresh and so clean. I know everybody hates Mondays, but man, I turned Monday into Monday Fun Day. So yeah, guys, I will see you. By the way, keep coming back to the channel. I'm gonna go to bed because I guess it's almost 9 o'clock, man. You guys got me up late. Dang, man, I'm up late. Yeah, I know I got to be up at like 5 in the morning or something silly. So yeah, I better go lay down or something, y'all. I know. So you guys, thank you for being here. We really appreciate everyone who comes in. Appreciate all the comments, the interaction.
Bye, y'all.
And if, like we say, always hit the email if you want, more in-depth conversations or things that you like to tell us that we could use or anything. Yeah, and just chop up some game and just hit us on the email and